Dan, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting.
I'll second it.
Well, okay, I'm all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting of the Rockland Sewer Commission is an open meeting being broadcast live and recorded on WRPS for playback at wrpsrockland.com/TV. I guess that could be, and within 24 hours via on demand at youtube.com/WRPS Rockland. Before we begin the meeting, I'd like the board to offer their condolences to John Tazaneri's family. Those of you unaware, John's a developer in town, mostly on the properties along VFW Parkway. And John passed away last week. Very young guy. And again, I want to offer my condolences to the family. Minutes of the approved previous minutes. A couple comments on them, first of all. One of the issues was that, Keith, you were going to reach out to Dan to go before you forwarded the EPA documents. Dan, did you get an opportunity to see them?
I saw them on the shelf, yes.
Did you look through the documents of what was being sent in?
No, I didn't. I just saw the documents.
Keith has a set of documents down there that I asked him to make a copy for the attorneys. If they're still there, you may want to go in just to familiarize yourself. So if it comes up in the future, you know what reports we're talking to.
Okay.
The other comment I have is on the third comment on the motion on just before the senior discount, that Keith had concerns on the additional costs to the town on the draft proposal. I just want to make sure that, Keith, were they on the phosphorus test or the CWMP?
What are you talking about?
You
said senior discount.
No. I'm talking before that. The concerns regarding the additional costs you had to the town with Suez in the draft proposal. Those additional costs were on the bench test portion, correct?
Bench tests, yeah, and there was a lot of additional work that they have wording in there that'll be at all costs associated for additional work will be at the cost of the town of Rockland, Sewer Department, and Suez.
For the bench test or for the CWMP? Because you were going to check with Wright PS on that? You were going to speak to, it says you will speak with Wright PS about the contract not being a not to exceed in those costs. Did that take place yet? Or
No, it's with the attorneys. They're writing all the language in there.
Okay. The record, again, I did not see the extra costs in there, but we'll review that later. Based on that, I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any drain layers licenses, Robin?
No.
And no abatements?
No.
Okay, with a moratorium, there's no new connections requested at this time. The old business, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Zaleski, the town accountant, who will go over some of the data for the sewer department. I know last month, there was a mention of finding 400,000, and Elizabeth has been gracious enough to come and try to explain that and explain the position of the sewer department as far as finances. So with that, Elizabeth, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hessian. The first thing I want to clarify is at the
Elizabeth, you seized up.
The last meeting, there was a question as to whether or not there was a, okay, we'll
Elizabeth,
try this again. At the last, sorry, Chuck?
you're breaking up. Yes.
Okay,
Freezing.
I'm freezing. Okay, is that any better?
A lot better.
Okay. At the last meeting that you had, there was a conversation regarding found money.
Mhm.
I just want to be clear, there is no such thing as found money.
Okay,
All the money for the sewer department has been accounted for, and it's in what's called your fund balances. So there's not a surprise.
Okay.
$451, 451,022 and 48 cents or whatever it is. It's actually in your balance sheet. So I just wanted to be clear on that.
oh, that's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
You were gonna
So-
share the screens or?
Sure. Mr. Hession, Mr. Natasia, Mr. DeRoss, do you have the reports that I emailed you earlier in the week?
Hmm.
Okay, if you could just bring those up for reference purposes, it would make life a little bit easier when we're going through these. For those in the audience, I'm going to be going over a presentation of position for the sewer department. Can you all see my screen? Hello?
No.
Okay, let me try that one again. Hold on. Now I just had it up 1 second. Okay, I'll just bring up the same one I gave you guys. Okay, so this is the report that I had sent to everybody. And what this is, it's a position of cash and operations for the last 10 years or 11 years based on 21. So what I did here is I came up with your actual revenues versus your actual expenses. And I'm just gonna move the screen up a little bit. So here you see in year 2010, your actual revenue was 1,788,308. Your actual expenses at that time, let's see, your actual expenses were 2,226,398. So your expenses exceeded your revenues by 438,000. Mr. Hession, do you want me to go over each year or do you want me to just take like the last 5 years?
Whatever's easier for you, Elizabeth. I was thinking even if you could do the last 3 or 4.
Sure, we'll go to last 3 or 4. All right, so as you know, well, this is terminology that I'll go over very quickly when we get to fund balances. That's down at the bottom of the presentation. So when we get there, I'll explain those to you. Let's see. So in 2018, we'll start with 18. Your revenue was 2,566,021. Your expenses at that time, hold on. Your expenses at that time were 2,000,006. So you had a net loss of $84,000. 2019, I'm going to go bottom line here. Your income was 2.497 million. Your expenses were 2.6 million with a net loss of 105,000. 2020 was a little bit better of a year where your income was 2.6 million. Your expenses were 2.5 million. So you had a net income of 108,000. 2021, we have not completely closed 2021, but this will be fairly accurate with a few changes here and there. Your revenue was 2.7 million. Your expenses were 2.9 million with a net loss of $219,000. So that's just the last few years. On the analysis that I did, it went from 2010 to 2021. And over that course of time, you have a net loss of $968,000. Which I think is a pretty significant issue to be sharing. Also down here on the bottom, you will see fund balances. Do you see all those on the left-hand side?
Yes, I do, yes.
Okay, so the fund balances in municipal accounting, it's called fund accounting. So we don't necessarily follow a standard accounting practice. It's specific to the state of Massachusetts. So there's several different fund balance categories. Fund balance for encumbrances, which is part of the terminology that I had sent to you. An encumbrance is something that you order on or before June 30. that you'll be paying for it after July 1st in the next fiscal year. So that's what an encumbrance is. So we get a listing of invoices that have to be paid, and we have to save that money for payment. Now, on the second line here, fund balance for betterments, this is the money that that was identified. It's been on your balance sheet. It hasn't gone anywhere. Of the 451,022.92. Now, by definition, this money should be coming from betterment revenue that the residents paid when they either hooked up to the system or when they, system hookup pretty much is what the betterment would be for. They took out a loan, be it a Title V loan, something like that, in order to get connected. So that's what that funding is. Then you have the fund balance reserve for expenditures. This is current articles that are outstanding that you have been tallying up for the last couple of years. The next section is articles for appropriation fund balance. The 400,000 represents the articles that you voted at the town meeting in May. And right now, estimated your undesignated fund balance is $548,000. Now, currently, your fund balance is going down and down and down. So this raises a little bit of concern as far as your financial stability going forward into the future years. So pretty much over 2010 to 2021, there's a net loss of $968,000. I'm going to stop sharing for the moment, unless there's something you have a question on this sheet.
Something I wanted to question you on that sheet, though.
Sure.
But Elizabeth, can you have any idea what do you attribute that loss to, or?
Well, I do. My interpretation of the data that I'm seeing is that historically the rates for the sewer department have been very low. And by not increasing your rates, you are going to continue to go into a deficit. You have projects you need to do, need to fund as you go each year. And until you start bringing in a more profitable enterprise, you're not going to have the money to continue the operations, to cover your projects, to cover your operations and maintenance. So my concern is that your rate is too low.
Well, if I may, Elizabeth, 1 second. You know, I'm not sure if you're aware or if he shared with you that, but this is before his time anyway.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
This was before Kate's time, and I'm not sure if he shared with you, but up to, well, since 2004, the sewer department never went up on fees. Our first fee increase, we passed one in 2020, and we just passed another. So that's just for your background.
I don't remember seeing a rate increase in 2020. I'll have to look at my documents. I think your rates have been remaining pretty steady. But in essence, when I first got here, there was a discussion that your rates need to be readdressed. And due to changes in administration, as well as superintendent, and the last couple of years, being with an interim, some of these things were left so that it could be discussed with the new superintendent when he came in. Now, the new superintendent and I have been discussing the value of getting a rate study.
You froze up.
And part of the reason that you will need a rate study, and it's recommended you have this, is there's an okay. I can't help it if I'm freezing up. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just
No, that's okay. If I know I freeze, I'll come back to the same subject. Part of the reason of the rate study is that we're seeing a downward trend of your net income. And you need to be able to sustain yourselves, number one. Number two, you have to start planning for the future. And that's the biggest issue that you have to address, because you need to be able to build funds for your capital improvements you're going to have going forward. We know that there's your wastewater study plan that's been going on for a couple of years to determine what do you need to upgrade the plant and the infrastructure surrounding the plant. So truly, you have to start building some revenues to help offset that cost of building a plant and doing new infrastructure, continued I&I. In my opinion, your I&I, you fund this every single year. It should actually be part of a budget and not part of a capital expenditure coming from your retained earnings. It should be part of a standard process. I think the other thing that was concerning me is clarifiers. That's something, if you look at your history for the projects that you've done repeatedly over the years, they're all the same. So something like that that continues to repeat year to year should be theoretically part of your operating budget. So that means moving some of these expenses from capital that you fund once a year to being a regular part of your budget. I&I itself, $100,000 a year is what I've seen you've done the last couple of years. Maybe that needs to go up, but it needs to go up into your budget aspect. So just within the budget aspect, you're looking at $100,000 increase to rates. Now by rates, as rates to the ratepayers, you need to look at your licensing costs, your permit costs, things like that. Anything that can help increase the revenue going into the sewer department so that when you get to the large projects that you need to do, the burden on the ratepayer is not as extreme. So it's building out your finances for the future.
You know, this is where I run into a murky area, Elizabeth, that,
Mhm.
you know, I look at capacity and the fact that we're violating permits, be it weather, whatever, we're violating their permit. So that's
I'm sorry, violating a permit. Could you explain that?
no, I'm talking with a permit discharge. So because of that, we look at a moratorium, but if we place a moratorium, I realize we're restricting our revenue.
Right.
But, you know, how do you balance that off without getting into problems with the regulators?
Well, that's not my job to figure out.
I know that, but,
Yeah,
but what have you seen in the past?
My position is to give you the best advice I can, of which Keith, Mr. Nastassia, and I have been speaking about, is it's extremely important for you to go out for a rate study, which has not been done, I don't believe, in Rockland in probably 15 years, 20 years. So that in itself is going to help guide you to the proper rate structure for sewer users and permit fees and things like that to help bring you to where you need to be. Each year, your costs, like everybody else's costs, go up. So if you have a contract, you've got a multi-million-dollar contract with a provider. So if that provider's contract goes up by 10% in a year, and you're only putting up your rate 1% or level, right there, you have a disparity in what you want to spend and what you're actually collecting. So those are the types of things that this rate study will certainly help. I see here on your agenda down lower, you have a senior discount update. It's not up to me to make that decision. Obviously, it's to the board. But I would highly not recommend it because of the financial position at this time.
No, and I understand that, and I'm all for you. Just so you know, that suggestion was made by a resident.
Correct.
I was just asked if we'd revisit it one more time. I bumped into the gentleman on the street. But I'm glad to put it on, but I explained to him that it's pretty much unfeasible, and all that was on is just a one more time deal.
Right. And you know, the biggest trend I'm seeing is the drops in your unreserved fund balance. The more that drops, the less you have to operate. Let's say in 2022, because we know this has been a really weird year with drought and rain and everything else. You're not using as much sewage because your sewage is based off of water. So let's say the water usage is down considerably. What's going to happen is the sewer usage is down considerably. So the water revenue is going to be down, the sewer revenue is going to be down. So if we end up in a flip-flop where our revenue is below our estimates, but our expenses are still up here, you're going to have a major, or a potential, I'll rephrase it, a potential deficit that's going to continue to decrease your unreserved fund balance. And that's the biggest thing. As far as everything else I've seen on the books, I'm pretty fastidious. I like to make sure I know what I'm saying is true and accurate, and I will go through and I will double check figures and everything else. And from what I see, the information is true and accurate. Also, our auditors, and we did change auditors when I first came in. So we have a different auditing team. You have a different financial team, different administration team. So we're looking at things a little bit differently than people have in the past, because new eyes can give you new ideas, essentially. So,
Well, listen, I thank you very much, but if you don't mind, could I just add, and it's, again, it's just educational purpose on
Sure.
kind of the question.
Mhm.
I noticed on the sewer development on your last page,
yes,
it was,
that's very interesting.
yeah,
Okay,
what
I
happened?
can explain this.
Okay, the
Um,
question was, I see entries of 3.6 million up to 2013, then nothing.
okay, hold on. Are you looking at the big spreadsheet or the last sheet that says fund balance sewer betterments? Which sheet, the 8.5 by 11 or the 11 by 14?
Well, mine's 8.5 by 11. I'm looking at,
Okay,
okay, the first one I'm looking at, what triggered me to go back was the account descriptions. I noticed from
Yeah.
14 on
Oh.
sewer betterment, there was no funding there.
okay, hold on.
But then again, if you go up to the first page of your sewer analysis,
Mhm.
under development fees, 18, 19, I see 8,000. That's what I don't understand is,
Okay, let's take a peek here. I put my thing back up. Where you are looking at sewer development fees under the revenues section of the spreadsheet.
it'd be on the previous page, first of all.
Oh, sorry. I'm used to having my 2 or 3 screens at my desk, so I'm working off a laptop. It's a little bit more interesting. Okay, yep, sewer development charges.
Right.
135 in 2010, 310 in 2011, 195, etc. What I can say is this is money that had been going into these accounts. Now, what happens when people are reporting their revenues? They're telling us where to put the revenues. So if you're saying, here's $100,000, it's development fees, put it into this account, development fees. And there's account numbers over here to the left-hand side that tells us where to put the money at your request. So if you go across this, right, and you have 1.5 million, if I'm
Yes.
reading across my lines correctly, 1.5 million in sewer development fees. Okay, that's a revenue that came into the system. That's not necessarily revenue that was taken out and put into a sewer development fund balance or a sewer development betterments balance. That's not where it goes. How it works is it's closing out to the regular operations. Now, one thing that should be done or could be done is that going forward, you could make a change where sewer development charges, all sewer development charges for a year, will now be reclassed and moved over to a capital stabilization fund, which is one of the funds that we had talked about trying to do at the spring town meeting. And if that's voted, at the end of the close of a fiscal year, we take that money by vote and move it into the capital stabilization fund, and that money is held specifically for capital. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay, but now
Okay.
go back to the following page again, if you would.
Yep. This one or down farther?
Down further.
Okay, page 3. This page, this
No,
is the total revenue and expense. These are the fund balances. Or
yeah.
are you looking at the next one?
Yes, right there. I'm looking at the sewer development charge.
This one.
Don't see,
Okay.
that's what I got confused.
Okay. What this is on the, I'm going to go back a page. See where it says fund balance reserved for betterments? It's
Yeah.
the second one down. That's what that money is. Okay. So this is how it's gone on over the course of years. Money comes in, money comes out. So with this one, I went back to 2009, which is the earliest information I can get off the system, because you brought a Munis in 2009, and I don't have any records from prior to that. You started out with a fund balance of 2009 of $5,008. Then there was a deposit put into the account, or a transfer put into the account for $74,000, which brings you up to 79. I cannot identify where that $74,000 came from. Then there's another transfer of $3,969, and so on. You can see all the small revenues that were transferred in. The biggest revenue that was transferred in was June of 2015 for $354,000. So that brought your balance to $451,022. What that tells me is, we go back here in 2015, you will see, where is it, the $354,000. So at that time, there had to have been some type of an agreement that this money would go into fund balance reserve for betterments. So pretty much they moved that money into a savings account. So after that time frame, since I've been here, I started in 19 and consultant closed out 18. All of these little revenues right here, they're just closing into your regular fund balance. Nothing's been moved into a betterment balance.
Okay.
Okay, it is very confusing when you look at it.
No, but I'll tell you, the sheet you put together was great, excuse me, compared to the other one. The other one, I was totally befuddled. When
Yeah,
they-
well, yeah, it's a lot of information, and the first one was just a quick overview of what I could get out quickly to you, but
Yep.
this one is much more in depth.
No,
And this is normally something that I would present as something more in depth to see what's going on.
thank you very, very much.
Okay. So do you want me to, can I stop sharing?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So that's what I have for you. Do you
You answered my
have
question.
any, Mr. DeRoss, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. So we're good?
We're good. Elizabeth, thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Mr. Nastasia, I don't even know if I pronounced your name right. Hey, Keith, is there,
Yeah.
is there anything I need to answer for you? Are you good?
No, I'm good. No, thank you very much for all the time and all your efforts with this.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Could the public
So
ask
on
one
that note,
question?
I'm going to be signing off.
Elizabeth,
Okay.
could you hold on one
Am I
second?
dismissed, Mr. Chair?
Could you hold one second? Mary, if you
Um,
quick,
may I ask who you are?
Is it,
I'm sorry, who are you?
I am Mary Parsons, and I just want to ask, Mary Parsons,
Yes, ma'am.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Is that fund balance, it's just the sewer, right?
Oh,
The
absolutely.
sewer, what's spent and what comes as revenue and what's spent? Okay, it's
Absolutely.
just sewer.
Yes, ma'am.
And a enterprise fund was created in May. So now will those fees go into that enterprise fund?
What happens is it's a change of designation. So we're not changing any account numbers, no fund numbers, anything like that. But what will happen is your certified free cash will be your own. Right now, everything is all like tied together under a special revenue fund with the two new enterprise funds, but now you'll be independent. So at the end of the year, when I close out the books, you'll get a retained earnings statement that I get from the Department of Revenue based on all the information provided, and that'll be provided to the Board of Commissioners. That says, this is your retained earnings schedule that you have for the year. You can use this once it's certified, but you have to remember on retained earnings, just like free cash, it's all gone as of July 30. And then you start all over again. Because our world runs July 1st to June 30, then everything stops. Okay, it's not something that keeps rolling. You stop, you
Right,
close your books and reopen them.
and it's spent solely on sewer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
It can't be spent on anything else. And that's pretty much the law, is you cannot spend it. Now, if there's some other type of emergency situation and there's the sky's falling and we want to take the money from the sewer and water to fund the general fund, that just can't be done. You know, there's certain laws that you have to follow. Something like this would have to go to vote of town meeting. Town meeting does not approve something like that. The action does not take place. That's the law, and that's what we need to do.
Yes,
So that's
agree.
that's my position. I make sure that what I'm doing is in the confines of the law. And if I find something that's being paid that I don't agree with, or I think is an inappropriate use of funds, I'll let the department know. And if we can find out an alternative to pay for something, we will. If not, unfortunately, sometimes I can't pay for it.
It doesn't get done.
Correct.
Thank you, Mary.
Correct.
Good.
Elizabeth, before you go, we have another line item to discuss with a special town meeting.
Oh, sure. Yep.
No, before we go into that, I guess
Yeah.
we don't have to vote on them this time around, or?
No, the special town meeting articles have already been completed. These were fully vetted with the sewer superintendent. And you understand the premise behind these articles and what's happening and why it's happening?
We haven't seen them.
Okay, well, let's just have a discussion. These are on the town meeting warrant for September 13th. And my job is to work with departments. So if they have an issue where they need funding for something, and we can find funding in some way or rework some of the articles that you had to close them out to fund something, that's what I do. I work with people to achieve what the goals of their departments are. Sometimes we can't always get there, but we certainly try. So you have one article, which is Article number 8, of which we're requesting that the town vote to reallocate existing articles. And the reallocation is for $230,298.65. And what we're doing is we want to reallocate this funding so that we can actually help get this digester boiler paid and up and running as quickly as possible. We know the digester boiler is going to cost more than that, but we have to at least start the process. And we're looking at other avenues to fund the rest of it.
Where would that 298,000 come from?
Do you have the 230,000? If you look at the article that you have in front of you
We
on
don't have
page,
the article. We haven't seen the articles.
do you have the special town meeting warrant, which was sent out to everybody?
No, we do not. Dan, do you have a copy?
No,
Okay, well, this was sent out to everybody, so I will explain where it's coming from.
Can you put it
We
on the screen?
Well, no, I can't. It's in my hand.
Why? I'm curious why Dan didn't get a copy.
Hold on, let me see if I have it somewhere. I don't send out the articles. You'd have to go to the town administrator for that. He had been out sick all week, and this went to the constable yesterday or today.
Okay,
But
yesterday, today, that explains why we haven't seen it.
right, but it is on the town website. Okay, but I can
We have-
explain to
we
you
have to
where
vote
this
on
money is coming from. I'm sorry. No, you don't necessarily have to vote on it. And the reason being the vote will be at town meeting, but I will explain to you what the articles are. You had an article from May of 2017. It was article number 15 to replace the main boiler at the treatment plant. And because it's 2017, the town has a 3-year sunset clause. So if you don't use an article within 3 years by town charter, I'm supposed to close them.
Okay.
Okay, which means it would close out to your undesignated fund balance. You wouldn't be able to use that for another year. Rather than close these within the guise of the charter, we're trying to repurpose it to do what we need to do.
That's great.
Okay, so the second one is May 2017, Article 16. Replace fuel boiler at the digester building. This is a partial balance of an article that was voted May 2017, $59,550. May 1st, Article 2018, replace pump at treatment plant for $21,682.11.
That was what article, please?
Article 18
Okay,
of the May 1st, 2017 meeting. And this is a balance of an article, okay?
okay.
May 6, 2019, Article 71, rebuild secondary clarifier. And this is one of the things, your clarifiers, they should be part of your regular budget. That had a small balance of $3,799.21. May 6, 2019, Article 74, comprehensive wastewater treatment plan, $5,267.33, which again is a partial balance. And the final article that we had looked at that we thought could help with this is the June 22nd, 2020, Article 26, comprehensive study, 11 pump stations and 2 ejector stations for $60,000. We know that the comprehensive study of the pump station and ejector stations will be an ongoing issue. So our position is we're trying to get this boiler done and complete, and hopefully done and complete before winter sets in, so there's no disruption to services at the plant.
No, that's a great.
Now, additional funding on this as we go forward. We're trying to come up with a comprehensive infrastructure plan to assist both the sewer department, the water department, and other structural infrastructure type needs that the town needs. So we're working on that type of information. Now, as a formality, if you would like to go ahead and vote the article for your record, that would be fine, absolutely fine. We'd appreciate that. To show support what's going to be happening.
Okay, may I ask one question? The articles that were voted on in this past May, they're
Yes, sir.
still valid as they were, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, no,
Absolutely.
I think anything to get that boiler going
Okay.
is a definite need. I can't see holding it up for that.
If I can reallocate money to meet an immediate need, that's my job to make that recommendation.
Oh, Elizabeth, I appreciate it. I'm all for it. Dan, I think that is really a sound idea. And it's something I would support wholeheartedly. So I'd like to make a motion that we just approve that article as Elizabeth explained it.
Yes, I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Is there anything else I can do for you tonight?
No, I think I'm all set, Dan. You?
All set.
Okay.
Elizabeth,
Mr.
thank you.
Keith,
Yeah, no, we're good. Thank you.
you're good? All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, I see Attorney Galvin there. Bob, you still on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. What I would like to do is clarify an obvious mistake that I had made. I wasn't comfortable from the beginning with it. We've gotten into a discussion on a moratorium. And because of that discussion, I just assumed wrongly, and I guess it was a violation of the open meeting law that they're trying to help me get out of that. And, we made a motion to rescind 2 permits. I wanted to have the people in anyway, but we shouldn't, Dan, I believe we shouldn't have done that. The reason being is that we had approved these people. There was no action for over a year, so I thought the sewer ordinance would cover us for that. I guess it does not. So what I would like to do is I'd like to make a motion that we rescind that vote to rescind those permits pending having, I believe it was Mr. Del Pratt, and I'm not sure who the people were from Beechwood, at least come in and explain what their plans are. Are they going to continue it shortly I explained to him that we have a moratorium in place right now. You know, and just to see how, you know, where they stand on it.
You know, I was copied on an email earlier today
Okay,
by Town Council Attorney Clifford, and I was basically told that he didn't think that there was any legal effect of the votes anyways. I don't think you need to take any votes
okay,
at
okay.
all. And, you know, I do think it would be a great idea if you have some concerns over any type of a pending project to ask the people that you dealt with to come in and meet with you and maybe get an update from them as to where they are, if they're anywhere.
Well, I appreciate that. Never worked with you on this.
And I think the best course of action is to find out if you recall who you dealt with specifically, to have Keith contact them and invite them to a meeting that you have scheduled in the future, not too distant, and just come in and have a frank discussion with them. Because I think, you know, whatever you approve for them, and I'm not familiar with it, but whatever you approved in an open meeting. And if you feel differently, or they feel differently, or something has changed, I just have an open discussion with them. And
No, I agree. I'd like to have that open discussion, but I'd hate to just slam the door on them. But I would like to ask your opinion on one thing.
of course,
Mike, it's not a concern, it's just a process. We approved one plan, and we might as well, it was an open meeting for 365 Concord Street. If I'm getting out over my skis, tell me to quiet up.
well, look at, if you're talking about an approval, I think just as a matter of course, I think I'd like you to have that on a posted agenda,
Okay, agreed.
48 hours in advance, so that we can discuss any, I mean, you could put discussion regarding 385 Concord Ave, and then you can discuss anything you want. And implicit in the word discussion is the word vote. So you could even take a vote after your discussion. But I really think in the absence of doing that, it probably, your agenda doesn't really permit you to go down and make any decisions. So what I would suggest you do, to the both of you, the two commissioners, is identify a date for a forthcoming meeting, send the person that you dealt with notice that you want to discuss their project and their permit status, and that's what you would have as a discussion item, and invite them in and discuss it with them. And I think that's the way you protect yourselves, and you protect and you exhibit fairness and equity to everybody.
No, I appreciate it, and that's how it'll be.
By the way, you may have some people that live in the neighborhood near those projects that want to be heard anyways, and you want to make sure you're fair to them as also.
No, Bob, I appreciate your counsel, believe me.
Yep.
Keith, could you do us a favor?
Yeah.
Could you reach out to, I know it was Mr. Delprat, and I really forget who it was with Beechwood. Beechwood, I could bring you up to speed on that. It was an older permit that had died out. I mean, Robin could dig you out the minutes on that to catch up on. But if you could reach out to them and ask if they would mind coming in, and they could pick the date.
Yeah, I'll need the information on Beechwood because I have nothing, no contact, no nothing, no contact information, I should say.
Yeah.
But for the Concord Street, I have this information in the file on that one.
Yeah, no, but I think the information was in the file. That project has totally changed, but he can explain that to us.
But the thing is, that project, it did not change. It changed for the better.
Oh,
Same,
no, great. It went from 40 to 19.
Exactly.
By the way, I think that's a project that I remember coming in front of the zoning board and or the planning board, and I think Attorney Walter Sullivan is involved in that project.
All right, so why don't we just get them in, see if they want to pick a date to come in, September, October, whatever. You leave it up to them.
Yeah, I do it right after the town meeting. Everybody's got to be focused on
Okay,
that town
again.
meeting.
Make it October, November. They can pick it.
okay.
So Bob, that gets you free.
Okay, all right, excellent. I'm going to go back and watch the Patriots lose.
Oh, come on. I Bob, nice seeing you again.
All right, good to see you all.
Take care.
Thank you, Bob.
While we're on that subject of motions, again, that came up. I bumped into a couple of people that had concerns with our fees and all that. And one of the other things that they asked if we'd look into, and I'm just getting this off the board now, was about the sewer department handling negotiations for other projects. I listened to the concerns of them, but my feeling on that is that should be left as is for now. The first area of contact is the town administrator and the board of selectmen. If they have a project they want to discuss with us, it has to have a commission vote anyway. So whoever, if someone's out there that brought that to my attention, that's why I didn't care to put that on the agenda. So with that, we'll continue with the continuation of old business. EPA update. Dan, you said you haven't seen that. I really wish you would get down and take a look at that.
I will this week.
Get down and touchy-feely, flip through so you know the reports we're talking about.
I have a much more condensed version that was sent to EPA today. They wanted basically summary, and so that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, and provided them a brief summary of every year of only data that's available, not making anything up, not going to create anything. And that's what they wanted. They wanted, I spoke with them and we had long, very thorough discussions. If it doesn't exist, that's what they want put on paper. So that's what her answers was, does not exist. It's not going to be created. And it was right to the point, but they were provided with a updated, from the update, condensed version. So if Dan, you wanted to come down and look at that, it'll probably take you maybe 10 minutes of, if that, of readings. It's very, very, each year from 2006 up until current. It's, like I said, it's broken down very, very, very simplified.
Okay, if you could send me, I had asked you to compile a list, a catalog, if you would, for Chris Kenny. If you could send me a list of what went in. The reason I'd like to know is because my name was on that under pains and penalties. So that's the only reason I want to know what's going in there, just so I have an idea. So if you could send me that list, I'd appreciate it.
Yep.
What was that?
My son.
So that's where that is. CWEMP update. I'm going to table that for now. There's some discussion on whether or not I followed the open bidding procedure on that. So hopefully by next month, that'll be rectified. As far as I know of, it's still going at Wright Pierce, but that's up for discussion. Senior discount, as I explained earlier, I just wanted to bring that up one more time because, again, times are bad all over for everybody. If there was a way we could give a discount, I think we would. But I think with Elizabeth on, she made it, really cold and to the point that it's something we cannot do. I will reach out to Mr. Long in writing and explain that to him. It was Robert Long, I believe. I have it in my notes that requested that. But I think if we did grant it, it wouldn't be very prudent of us at this time. Superintendent update for the SSCS update.
It's SSCS, same thing. It's it won't be, all the data is being reviewed and put into a design program and won't be ready till October. But with that, we have internally been doing some of our own camera work, especially on roads, with the roads paving program, roads that to be done that weren't part of the SSCS. And we've come across some, a few, we'll just say breaks, and we've already repaired them. There was a few breaks on Daring Square, joint repairs. NCAP was, we'll just say broken off, manhole buried. We've done a lot of structure repairs. And we're putting in gaskets on new structures, and that all with DEP guidelines. Those are credits that you get each year. And so with that, I put together a nice spreadsheet from work that was done by Dave Taylor prior to me, and what has been going on since I've come on board. And our total is we've removed over 300,000 gallons of I&I, or I should say, we've removed over 300,000 gallons of flow from the system through construction work, repairs, and or redevelopment of former buildings. Like, for instance, the Kathy Corrigan's building. That building, their average consumption was over 132,000 gallons. And now with the brewery / baseball academy, their usage is under 23,000 gallons. That's over 109,000 gallons. That's less flow into the system. But then with other repairs and whatnot, with all the structures being done, there's it's all DEP guidelines for credits. So there is some, we'll just use within the past year, we can quantify good things. And this doesn't even include the work being done with the elementary schools being, the new one being built, with the other two coming offline, because those have a lot of sump pumps, floor drains, and CSOs. So that's going to also be a big benefit, but we can't do any analysis until the new school comes online and use basic usage from the old versus the new.
How would you quantify, when you use the number 300,000, I'm not doubting you, but did you install a flow meter to get flows, or?
No, I actually use meter usage.
Okay, so you have actual data.
Correct.
Oh, awesome.
And then the stuff for DEP guidelines for doing structure work.
Can you send a copy to Dan and I?
Yep.
Thank you. So 300,000 gallons, you feel that's a sound number that's been removed or potentially removed?
No, been removed. Yeah, like I said, I'll send you a copy of.
If you could, because that'd be great, because we could lift that moratorium quicker than we anticipated.
Yeah, like I said, and this is going back. If we had data from, even 5 years ago, I could quantify a little more, but the data is not there from previous. But
No, I understood that we knew.
Yeah, but what Dave Taylor had done and kept good records of, I was able to put a number to everything, and then since I've come on board, it's so we have a lot better tracking, which the data that was sent out to EPA is also going to reflect that it was kind of flatlined. Wasn't really quantified. It was more dollars spent each year on I&I versus how much flow you had, pre-flow and post-flow construction. It was unfortunate, but we can't go back because we got to move forward.
Oh, that's right. That's great, especially after what Elizabeth said.
Yeah. So with that, we also rate studies in progress.
Before you leave the SSES, what I was wondering, when ACOM is ready to do their final report, I'd like to have them come in and do a presentation to us. Tell them to take 10-15 minutes to just let us, go through the whole process, what they did, how they measured it, how they're going to quantify repair work and that. So if you could ask them if they would prepare for that whenever their final report is due.
Yep, no problem.
Get them on the agenda. Okay,
Yep.
Going into.
Oh no, I'm still got more.
Oh. No,
We had
yeah,
a very busy last couple of weeks. What do you call it? Yeah, rate study is in progress, underway. The butternut ejector station.
Okay, hold on 1 second on the rate study. One thing you may want to look back in the file. And again, I'm not, who are you going to have do the rate study?
Weston and Sampson.
Are they going to give us a bid or?
Don't have to, engineering services.
Okay.
Oh, they gave us a proposal. Yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, here you go, let me know what the bill is. No, they gave us a proposal.
Okay, can you send Dan and I a copy of that?
Yep.
Let's retrain it then. Rate study. Okay, what I was going with in that, you may want to look in the file. John had one, I don't think it was done for Rockland. It was a more or less a regional one done by, it was either Fuss and O'Neill or Ty and Bond in, I want to say 1819. And I know there's a file there kicking around on it. If not, I could figure it out on mine and send you a copy of that. You may want to give that to Weston and Sampson as well.
It's not data that's going to be relevant to what the rate study is going to. The rate study is, it's not just looking at what other towns, that's an analysis.
Okay.
Rate study is what your operating costs are, what your revenues brought in, and what your capital projects future are going to be. So basically, just for easy numbers, they're going to take $54 million for a treatment plant, $20 million for I&I, and then what our operational costs are, revenues brought in, and then you take it, you can do, whatever, 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, and then your rates come out based on, there's more data involved than just that, but that's just, simple things that are needed. Basically, what your capital projects have to be incorporated in to cover those costs over X amount of years.
No, that's good news. What ballpark price? Did they give you a ballpark price?
38,000. And we called around numerous places, and
To me, that 38,000 would be money well spent. I mean, if they could do something like that and give us a good kickoff point.
yeah, but like I said, we called numerous we'll say firms, and everybody was pretty much right around the $40,000 mark.
No, if you could just send Dan and I a copy of that scope of work, I'd appreciate it just for.
Yeah.
All right.
What else we got? Rate study. We have to add a part-time clerical position because we need to do daily receipts. And that we have a lot of things going on down there. We have the money in the budget. So it's more, you won't even see the impacts. It'll be a 15-hour to max of 19 hours a week. No benefits. It's a union position, just like a regular part-time.
Isn't that something that should have been discussed with us?
Who runs up
I
down
thought
there?
you've already done it.
I've already talked to you about it. Oh, it's not. No, it hasn't been done. We let you know that we're looking at bringing in a part-time position. We haven't even asked for it or anything like that.
Have you done up a job description?
No, it's a job description that the town hall has. It's because it's a union position. It's whatever the clerical position is written by HR and the union.
How is it going to impact Robbins? Is it going to free her up time or?
Well, it's going to help her out because we have to do daily receipts on a daily basis. I'm sorry. So it's going to help her because said there's that phone's ringing off the hook on a daily basis, saying we got so much stuff going on. And she needs help, especially with because the daily receipts take up 2-3 hours of her time every single day, and falling behind on all the other duties that she has to do.
But that's not a new task, was it?
The daily receipts, yes, it is, because we would do them once a week. Now they need to be done daily.
What prompted the change in procedure?
I can't.
I understand it. If you need a position, you need a position.
Mhm.
But what has changed? That's
May I speak for a moment, Chuck?
Sure.
So we had a meeting with Biz with water, sewer, and trash. And because we became enterprise funds, we could no longer accept payments for together for water, sewer, and trash. So trash became separate.
Oh no, that is the justification. That's all.
So during that discussion, it also became apparent that trash has 2 people and water has 3 people to enter receipts, do billing, do refunds. And I guess it's a violation to have the same person billing people, giving refunds, and applying their payments. It's called separation of duties. And really all along down at the sewer department, the same person shouldn't have been doing that. So when it became apparent during those meetings, Biz pushed for us to go with the part-time, and it does make sense because the workload has been increasing down there.
No, like I said, Robin, all I want to do is get an explanation of it. It just.
Right, right. That's why I asked to speak, because that's how it came about.
What I would like you to do is if you could put that justification in the minutes, or maybe just write up a quick memo for Dan and I. You know, but include that discussion, your rationale why in the minutes. Because I think it would make sense if it's separation of the powers.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Go ahead, Keith.
Okay, and the butternut education is it's out for bid. We had it was a mandatory walkthrough on this past Tuesday, and we had 2 vendors that showed up for the bids due August 31st.
Who are the 2 bidders?
Adent Group and Weston and Sampson Operational Services.
You didn't have to show them Forest Street as well, did you?
No, you can't do that. It's a public bid. You can't.
Okay, no, I just thought out of curiosity, didn't want to compare the 2.
Yeah, no.
Is Rick gonna talk about, I know he mentioned in the last meeting about a vendor coming in on phosphorus removal. Are you gonna cover that, or is Rick?
No, Rick can talk about that.
Okay. You all set?
Yes, all set.
Yeah, Rick, you're on.
Yep, okay, I'm up. Well, we'll first talk about the flows. We'll do that. My July flow update. I think we exceeded the flow. We ended up coming in at 3.4 million gallons per day, but we also had over 8 inches of rain for the month of July.
Well, I didn't expect you to have a drought anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, we also exceeded our biotoxicity. And the last time this happened was last year. I believe it was the April biotoxicity. And that one was also due to high flows. So flows definitely affect us. But one of the things I wanted to, clarify, talking to the EPA, sometimes we throw acronyms around, high flow management plan, bypass, shavings, stuff like that. I just want to be clear with the board and everyone that for 2021, the facility, we have not bypassed any gallons, 0 gallons. We've treated every gallon that's come down the pipeline and it's gone through the facility. With that being said, I use the word shade. Ed and I use this word shade. And what all that means is when the flow comes up, we set up a Godwin, like you had said before, it's basically a high flow auxiliary pump. And we use that again to shave the flow in order to protect the facility from process upsets. We can only accept so much. I mean, the plant's designed for 2.5. I just quoted saying we were at 3.4, and that's 3.4 every single day. And after a while, it catches up to the facility. For the 2021, Chuck, we've actually shaved, and again, I'm using that new word, 1.75 million gallons. But again, with 0 discharge to the receiving stream.
No, I say that. The reason, Rick, so my rationale for putting that.
Oh, absolutely.
Was hopefully you could explain it because they hear Godwin pumps,
right?
That, and I just wanted it, and you did it. Just did you did exactly what I want, what I hope you would do. So.
Yep. Yeah, and all flow it's held in our offline tanks. We're fortunate that we have a little over 1 million gallons in space for further treatment after the flow subsides. So we'll turn some pumps on, but it all goes back to the beginning of the headworks and gets blended in.
See, that's the key. People are hearing it and not knowing that it is treated wastewater.
Correct.
They don't just discharge to French's Stream if it's by. Right. That was a good explanation, Rick.
Right. So that's let's see. And unfortunately, we're talking about flow for August. Again, July, all the years I've been at that facility, I went back and looked, we've never violated the month of July. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say August too, but it looks like we're gonna violate August. As of today, 8/19, we're running 3 million gallons through the plant. And we're actually over 6 inches of rain again for this month, not counting today.
Not counting tonight.
Yep, not counting tonight's. And I'm not sure if people had seen it, the news, I think on Channel 5, I believe it was, and they reported Rockland as receiving 5.31 inches of rain from, I think it was less than 36 hours from the 4th to the 5th. So yeah, this doesn't help us, but Ed and I manage the facility. And in fact, the facility is running excellent despite the abnormal high flows this summer.
All right, Rick, did you put out the month-end reports yet?
I believe Ed did, but I'm not sure if he sent it to you yet.
All right, Ed, could you make sure, I thought I saw Ed on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. If you could make sure Ed sends Dan and I a copy of that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's done because I submitted a copy to Keith. But we'll make sure you do. What's that?
Monthly.
Rolling averages, it's going up. It's I think it was like a little over 2.6. Yeah, so we started going below. Now we were below 2.5, and now we're back up to I want to say like 2.61, something in that range. So it's trending upwards, unfortunately, because we've had so many months of violating our monthly average flow.
No, that's your point. Going to kill you anyway, and that was going to carry it over.
Right.
2.6, Rick, right now.
Right. Okay. That's 2.6. Let's see what else we got going on.
The phosphorus study. That's what I wanted. You said last time you're going to have a vendor come in.
Yes. So Ed and I, they came back out again. Ed, you want to talk about this, or you want me to take it?
Well, I'll let you talk about it. I was actually in Colorado when they came back.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So I don't know. I'm not sure. I know we discussed doing a pilot. I kind of understand that. I mean, I can fill in for you if you want, but I don't really know exactly what you guys hit on. So.
Yeah. So I forgot you were. So a couple of gentlemen came back in from the company, and
who did it?
I'm sorry.
Who was the company?
Biochar. You can look them up online. They're based out of Colorado. So right now they're in the process. They're still analyzing different data. They want to basically take some of Rockland's water, and they're actually going to make. Let's see, how can I explain this? They're going to make this nutrient, I guess, or charcoal, and make it for Rockland's water. And the idea of this study would be to take these 2 bags, and that's really what it is, and we would literally put them in our final contact chambers, and then the water would go through it, and they're saying that they could get this phosphorus down to basically non-detect numbers.
Get out.
But again, the jury is still out. There's a lot of testing still to be done. I don't believe that this pilot will start this year, but we'll see.
He's claiming he can get phosphorus down to a non-detect.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So, but again, like Ed and I talk about, a lot of them, they're salesmen, so you got to remember that. So we need to see the technical data.
Yeah. And this would also be their first wastewater application, so that they haven't really found a way to get their product into wastewater yet, but they do believe it's a good fit. So that's kind of where we're at with them right now.
Correct. So we'd be the first one, that they've ever tried, and it's worth a shot. I mean, there's no cost to the town. Why not go for it?
Yeah. There's something else I want to talk to you about when you're done. Remind me.
Okay. Yeah, and that, like I said, I just got an email from them, I believe it was last night. And again, they're going forward. They said they'll keep me posted how they process out here. Yeah. Only other thing, another thing I wanted to talk about. We just finished a wastewater. We got selected by the U.S. government Health and Human Services. I think it was funded by the government during the COVID. So we just recently finished a COVID-19 surveillance program at the wastewater plant. Basically, what it was almost 3 weeks of testing of our raw influent. There was no charge, like I said. Typically, the charge is about $350 a sample. We ended up sending them, I believe it was like 5 samples. The program just ended today because they ran out of money. But we're hopeful that it's going to come back. They were hopeful that it's going to come back. The name of the company was BioBot Analytics out of Cambridge, Mass. And I was on a conference call with them today. And what they were doing was that, again, they checked every wastewater, well, not gonna say every wastewater, but every state, they checked looking for COVID in every state, every Indian reservation, and there wasn't every state actually was committed to this program. And so now, from what I understand today, they're going to gather all the data. I've got some data, I just don't really understand what it means. And it's, it shows charts of what the COVID was coming into the facility. And like we all know, COVID-19, comes through your facility and it goes right through. We don't have a way to remove COVID-19. No wastewater facility does.
But it's a good measurement for a community, which is what I was going to get to. Last year, I had tried to get, BU was running they were looking for guinea pigs, towns. I think I ran it by you, Rick.
Yep.
For COVID sampling in the waste stream to set up a testing. And I think I have a lead on another one, the joint venture with BU and Northeastern.
Okay.
I'm going to be talking with because I'm in their mentor program at Northeastern, and I'm going to be talking with them next month. And they're waiting on a federal budget number, I guess a grant or what have you. If they get it, they're going to be looking for a small place like ours to set up, and they would man it. They would sample it. It wouldn't be part of our permit testing.
Right.
But and they'd use students.
Okay.
So what I'm probably going to do is get the details, and I'll send them to you and Keith, and probably set up a joint meeting with them to come in and do a touchy-feely and see if there's something you'd be interested in.
Okay.
And like I said, if they go, if it's what they're telling us, it's a freebie. So I'd be all over that like a came out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this didn't take up too much of our time. We had to sample it. They included the FedEx boxes. I think all we had to do was take it to the FedEx, and I think the guys were taking it right over to Walgreens to have them mailed out twice a week. So it wasn't a lot of effort on Suez's part. But again, good data.
Rick, I should probably know this, but I didn't really talk to you about it. When we took those samples, did we do influent and effluent? Were they comparing, or was it just the influent?
Yeah, they were right now because of the time of the study, and they were just looking at influent.
Okay.
I mean, their hopes are to get another grant, like similar to what Chuck's talking about, with the federal government, and do both influent and effluent. But they were just strictly concentrating what's coming into the wastewater facilities.
And that's what this BU Northeastern venture is. It would be on the influent side of it.
Yeah.
Just to get a handle on what's coming in the community. And then what they were looking at to do from that point was break out into different sections of town. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Rockland, but take Rockland as an example, break out into different subzones, if you would. That's how they refer to it. So they could say, okay, you're getting more hits in zone A or zone B, that thing, but it would strictly be on the influence side. And the two doctors, professors I was talking to, they were just going way over my head with numbers and language. So that's why I said, dumb it down, and when you get your stuff together, come in and do a presentation to us. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So so right now, like I said, I'm waiting there should be some massive, I know I got access to the federal website to review our data, and there should be some final report, is what they said to us today in the Zoom call.
The only thing I want to make sure is, and I'm sure you already did, that if they do take a sample, do we have to make note on that on our monthly submittal that this parameter was tested?
No.
That's one question I didn't ask them. I don't want to open Pandora's box and get into another reporting.
Exactly. No. I think that's it. I think that's all I have. As far as personnel, currently right now, no Suez personnel issues at this time. Yeah, that's all I have. We've been very busy. Keith and I have been very busy, trying to put our heads together and working on this I&I, and him and I are working very good as a team.
Good. Dan, you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Okay, if you would make an effort to get out and take a look at that EPA stuff, I would appreciate it. It's only to your benefit.
Okay.
And I guess that would be public record too, so where we've discussed it, so you may want to familiarize yourself with what's in there. With all that, I guess I'll open up to public forum. If anyone got any quick questions pertaining to tonight, I'd be glad to hear them.
I have questions. I was in touch with, what?
No, I just want to make sure everyone knew it was Mary Parsons.
Yes. I was in touch with Dave Turin at EPA on where they're at with the investigation into the sewer department, and they're addressing the compliance issues. And he got back to me and he said he's received the information and they've received its response and are reviewing the information we have received. So that's where they're at.
Yeah, I imagine they'll probably be that way for a good night.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for a little while longer. So I've let all the people on my email list know. So at some point we will know what they have to say. And the other issue is we elect our sewer commissioners to make the decisions and not necessarily the Board of Selectmen. So did I hear that everything's going to the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator?
What are you talking about specifically?
Because I was a selectman, so the sewer commissioners are to make the decisions for the sewer department.
What issue are you talking about specifically? Mary?
I think it was mentioned that it will stay as normal, that developers go to the selectmen and the town administrator
No.
before they come to the sewer department.
What I was alluding to is that when a new developer comes into town, usually the first one they meet with, the town administrator and the selectmen, and if they're going to work out arrangements, they still have to bring them to us to approve or disapprove. Somebody had approached me about saying, why don't we just do that head on? And number one, I don't think we can do the negotiation.
Actually, they can come to you first. Usually it's just as a courtesy, they let the town administrator know they're coming to town, but it's not their decisions that are made. It is the sewer commissioners that make the final decisions on what they approve.
Okay, thank you.
I know because I was in that situation and had to deal with certain issues with the sewer commissioners.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else?
You're welcome.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to end. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, the next meeting will be September 6th.
Oh, there is one more thing, Chuck. I sent you over the special report articles. I got them off the town website.
Oh, thank you. No, I haven't
I
seen.
sent you the special, yeah.
Okay,
And a few people that are on this list watching this meeting, I sent it to them too.
okay, Keith, you're gonna see that, Elizabeth's gonna see that Dan gets a copy too?
Yeah. We got it on our notes.
Okay, so the next meeting will be September 16th at 7 p.m. I'll have a preliminary agenda out by Thursday, September 2nd.
Yeah, let's discuss about moving these meetings back to 4 o'clock like they were for the last 15 years.
Well, the reason I had moved them to 7 is to give people time to get home. I brought that up to Doug Lapp and Mike O'Laughlin. They are proponents of the 7 o'clock.
Okay, well, there's gonna be times that I'm not gonna be able to make, these things, so I'll give Robin my notes. Not,
Give Robin your notes or give them to Keith. I mean, give them to Rick.
yeah, okay,
It makes sense for the meetings to stay at 7 on my end.
yeah, all right, no, just throwing it out there, just letting you know.
Okay, if you could just make arrangements, if you're gonna see a conflict at that time for that date, let us know. We'll see if we can switch it around. To
Yeah,
another.
all right. Yep, thank you.
Chuck, can you repeat the date that you said for the next meeting?
Sure. September 16th, 7 PM Zoom.
Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion in the meeting.
I second it.
Well, you can make the motion. I made the motion. Okay. In favor of closing the meeting, say aye.
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 Unanimous. Thank you very much. I forgot to say hi to Paul. All right. Good night, everybody.
Right.
Good night.